You hate rules, right? We all do. They're suffocating. Arbitrary. Control mechanisms made by people who think they know better. But what if I told you, some rules don't exist to control you. Some rules are chains. Anchors. Not to restrain you, but to restrain something else. Something that's always watching, always listening, waiting for you to slip. I didn't believe it either. Until I moved into a place with rules, strange ones. Ones you couldn't question. Ones you had to follow. I broke one. And now, I don't sleep anymore. It started the day I moved into the apartment. It was cheap, too cheap. But I didn't ask questions. I was broke, desperate, and honestly it looked fine. Clean, quiet, nothing unusual, until I found the note. Folded neatly, placed in the exact center of the kitchen table. No envelope. Just a single sheet of paper that read, "Rules for your safety. Follow every single one." There were 10 of them. Printed in typewriter font. No name. No explanation. Just rules. Do not open the blinds after midnight. Never speak to the man in the hallway, especially if he knows your name. If you hear footsteps above you past 3:33 a.m., start reciting the prayer of St. Michael. Don't eat anything left at your doorstep. On the first Friday of each month, leave a glass of milk by the bathroom sink. If the bathroom mirror fogs up without cause, leave the apartment immediately. Always say goodnight to the stairwell even if you're alone. If your phone rings 3 times and stops, do not call back. Never sleep with both feet uncovered. And above all, never break more than one rule. Ever. At first I laughed. I thought it was some weird joke from the previous tenant, or maybe a creepy welcome prank. But then I noticed the last line, scribbled in pen under the printed list. This is not to control you. It's to contain what's already here. I didn't laugh after that. The first rule I broke was by accident. I'd just gotten home from a late shift, arms full of groceries. It was 12:08 a.m. I didn't think. I just walked over to the window and pushed the blinds open. It was pitch black outside except for one thing. A man standing perfectly still on the sidewalk, directly across from my apartment. He wasn't moving. Wasn't blinking. Just watching. I shut the blinds immediately, heart pounding, and backed away. I tried to convince myself it was nothing. A trick of the light, maybe a random passerby. But when I looked again, he was gone. The next morning, I noticed claw marks on the inside of the window frame. That should have been enough for me. But I kept testing the rules. Just little things. One night, I didn't say goodnight to the stairwell. I was exhausted, half asleep. Thought it didn't matter. At 2:41 a.m., I heard footsteps. Not from the stairwell. In my apartment. Slow. Heavy. One step, then another, coming from the kitchen. I stayed frozen in bed, holding my breath, barely daring to blink. The sound stopped outside my bedroom door. Something pressed against it. I could hear it breathing, wet and shallow. Then a whisper. Forgot something. I didn't move until morning. The next day, the stairwell smelled like burnt hair. I started following the rules. Every single one. Obsessively. I taped them to the wall. Recited them like scripture. I even left the glass of milk out before the first Friday came, just in case. It didn't matter. Because I broke another rule, and this time I wasn't alone when I did. It was my friend Mark. He was the only one who believed me, or at least pretended to. I needed someone to see what I was dealing with. So I invited him over one Friday night. I begged him, please? Just follow the list. Don't mock it, don't question it. Just trust me. He laughed. It's just a weird little routine, man. You okay? At first everything was fine. We watched a movie. Ordered pizza. I tried to keep the mood light. But then midnight came, and Mark, bored and slightly drunk, wandered into the hallway. He didn't say goodnight to the stairwell. He didn't avoid the mirror in the guest bathroom. I didn't realize it until I heard the creak of the floorboards, followed by the sharp slam of the mirror cabinet door. My blood went cold. I ran toward him, too late. He was staring into the mirror, motionless. His eyes were wide, unblinking, like he was paralyzed. I shook him, called his name. Nothing. Then I saw it. His reflection wasn't copying him anymore. It smiled. And behind the reflection, standing in the dark hallway inside the mirror, was something else. Tall, hollow-eyed, watching. I yanked him away and smashed the glass. Mark collapsed, gasping, alive but changed. His eyes were different after that. He kept muttering about the man behind the glass, and sometimes he'd start crying for no reason. That was the last night I saw him. He disappeared 2 days later. They never found him. But sometimes, at exactly 12:08 a.m., I still get phone calls. Silence on the other end. Breathing. Then a voice that sounds like Mark's saying, "He's still watching me." That's when I understood. The rules weren't just weird. They weren't optional. They were warnings, and once broken, something woke up. I stopped following the rules after Mark disappeared. What was the point? I was angry, exhausted, tired of living like a prisoner in my own house. So that night, I turned on all the lights after 11:11. I stared into every mirror. I left the front door unlocked. I didn't speak to the stairwell. I even laughed at the list before tearing it to pieces. For a moment, nothing happened. I went to bed thinking I was free, that maybe I had imagined it all. But at 3:03 a.m., I woke up to the sound of footsteps. Slow, deliberate, coming from the hallway. I stayed still, heart pounding. Then, a whisper right outside my bedroom door. Rule number 1. The door opened on its own, and standing there was me, but twisted, taller. Its skin pale and waxy, eyes black and hollow. It smiled. Then it spoke in my exact voice. "You don't get to ignore the rules." The lights flickered and went out. I don't remember what happened next. I woke up on the floor the next morning, light pouring in, birds chirping, everything normal, except the list had returned. Perfectly intact. Resting on my chest. Only now there were more rules. 12 in total. And the last one, written in bold red ink, read, "If you ever stop following the rules again, you'll become the next one we write about." I spent days trying to understand the origin of the rules. Who made them? Why my house? Why me? So I did what anyone would. I searched online. Forums. Occult sites. I even posted anonymously, asking if anyone else had experienced something similar. One night I got a reply. Just one. A user named Redwall13 messaged me privately. "You're not the first. You won't be the last. The rules protect you from what lives between the walls." I asked what that meant, and he responded with coordinates. To an address 5 hours away. I went. What I found was an old rotting farmhouse, burned out decades ago. Nothing left but a foundation and a brick chimney. But spray painted on the stone were the exact same 12 rules I had in my house. Word for word. On the ground nearby, dozens of pictures. Families. Smiling. Then screaming. Then gone. As I looked through the images, I noticed one photo that made my stomach drop. My house. Before I moved in. Same porch. Same crooked tree. But taken in the 1970s. The people in the picture weren't strangers. One of them was the man who sold me the house. The others looked like the neighbors I waved to every morning. They never aged. They never left. They were the previous keepers of the list. And now, it's mine. I finally understood. The rules aren't meant to control you. They're a contract. A deal. Follow them and you're left alone. Break them. I burned the photo. I packed a bag. I told myself I was leaving that night and never coming back. But at midnight, just as I turned the doorknob to leave, the lights flickered again, and every single rule appeared, scratched into the walls in blood-red letters. Not paint. Blood. Then the whispers started. They didn't come from inside the house this time. They came from me. From inside my skull. Repeating the same words over and over. "You belong to the rules now." I collapsed. When I woke up, the door was locked. From the outside. No one came. No one ever does. I tried to scream, but my voice was gone. Taken. Like my freedom. Now I sit here. Writing this. I don't know how long I've been in the house anymore. Time doesn't work the same in here. But if you're reading this, if you've ever seen a list of strange rules taped to a door in a room you just moved into, don't ignore them. Don't ask questions. And whatever you do, never try to leave. Because the rules weren't written to trap you. They were written to keep something else out. And if you break them, that something doesn't stay outside anymore. And you become part of the house. Forever.